Hello everybody, and welcome back to Steven's Fight Show. Alright, so the main event for UFC 281, Israel Adesanya versus Alex Pereira. Oh my god, am I so excited for this fight. I've been waiting for this fight for so long now. Ever since Alex Pereira got into the UFC, I've been waiting for the UFC to make this fight for a while now. And thank goodness we get it sooner than expected. And I have a lot to say about this fight, so I'm just going to go ahead and hop right into it. Alright, so Izzy versus Alex Pereira. Before talking about the actual fight, let's appreciate that this fight is happening. Fights of this kind of caliber usually don't occur anywhere else. I mean, when do we ever see fights like this where there's a history a part of it? When do we see fights where we have two amazing strikers in the UFC currently that have gone at it in a different sport twice, where the first fight was a controversial decision and the second fight ended in a devastating knockout? And that obviously built a rivalry between the two of them, and now there's some bad blood between the two of them, and they're set to meet again, but this time in the octagon. Again, when do we ever see rivals competing against each other for years like this, where fans are invested in a rivalry like this? Never. You usually don't see it anywhere else. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is that I want to say the UFC have done an amazing job of putting together fights that fans want to see. We see high-level fighters fight each other very often in this company, and I am a boxing fan. I absolutely love professional boxing, and I love it just as much as MMA. But it's not hard to admit that boxing doesn't put together fights that pleases the fans. And this is a big reason why the UFC is beating boxing in terms of viewership and popularity, because there's excitement and value within their fights. Like, can you imagine if Izzy and Alex Pereira were boxers? Like, this fight would take years to make. Like, I'm talking years to make. This fight wouldn't happen for another 7 years when they're old and out of their prime. So like I said again, let's take a moment to appreciate that this fight is happening. Okay, so now that I've gotten that out of the way, let's talk about the magnitude of this fight. This is Izzy's revenge fight, and like I said again, he fought Alex Pereira twice in kickboxing, and with the way that both fights ended, it has now sparked some animosity between the two of them. Izzy has mentioned that this fight is personal for him, and I honestly don't blame him. He's mentioned how he's going to put it on Alex, and how he's going to make this fight look like a horror movie. And the thing is, we usually never hear Izzy speak like this before any of his fights. Fights that were anywhere even close to being personal for Izzy, like the Costa fight, the Brunson fight, or the Vettori fight, Izzy has never described his performance in those fights the way that he's talking about this fight right now. So clearly Izzy has only one goal and one objective in this fight, and that's revenge. That's the only thing that's on his mind. He's also mentioned that he doesn't care about the belt. Beating Alex is what matters to him. And I'm a fan of both of these guys, but predominantly I'm a fan of Izzy, and I like that out of Izzy, because this is Izzy's biggest fight of his career. The reason why I say that is because his back is against the wall right now. Since Izzy hasn't had an exciting title defense for a while, fans have been hating on him for the last 15 months? They criticize him for being boring, and now he's facing the one man that was able to put him down, and so many of Izzy's haters are stating their case right now. Like right now, from this moment, go on Twitter and Instagram right now and look at the comments on any post about Izzy and Alex. You'll see so many haters talking about,
oh, Izzy's gonna go out on a stretcher again this time. Izzy's about to get swept. Alex finna put this man in a coma.
And Izzy's in a position right now where he has to not only fight the fans, the haters, but also his arch nemesis who knocked him out in their last meeting. I mean, talk about the stakes being extremely high in this fight. Izzy is going through a bit of that Mayweather phase in my opinion, where he's been champion for a long time, and because they don't want to see him continue to be champion, they bring up narratives like him being boring and cringe just to see him lose. And again, I'm an Izzy fan, and I'll admit that his last few fights have not been all exciting. But I'm not one of these people that says things like,
oh, Izzy is so boring, and that's why he's gonna lose and get knocked out in this fight.
Like what? Like, how does that even make any sense? And going back to the matchup of this fight, one thing I want to mention about Izzy, I think that it's important for him to be himself in this fight. For the last few title defenses, I don't think he's been himself. And before people say I'm making excuses for Izzy, I'm talking about the way he carries himself throughout the entire fight, not the way he performs. In his last title defense against Jared Cannonier, I feel like Izzy wasn't himself. I feel like he was doing things to try to please the fans. For example, in the press conference before the fight, he had a bit of a back and forth with Sean Strickland, and it looked like Izzy was getting riled up and forcing his replies. Hence, we got the frozen like Elsa line. But in reality, all he needed to do was be calm, cool, and collected. Or even before the fight, where Izzy walked out as the Undertaker, which is one of the best walkouts of all time. But again, I don't think that matches who Izzy is. I felt like that walkout was just strictly to create excitement for the fans. However, what Izzy needs to do is just be himself. And you know what that is? It's when he's dancing, smiling, grooving, vibing, and just having fun. We've all seen Izzy in that state, and it's exactly like the walkout he had when he faced Whitaker for the first time. That is Izzy at his best. I know everybody remembers that walkout where he was just dancing and having fun before entering the cage. He needs to go back to being in that state of mind, because in that way, he can relax and stay composed. If he's forcing himself to do things that he normally doesn't do, then he'll be tense before the actual fight, and hence that will affect his performance. Alright, so now let's talk about the fight, the styles, the matchup, and what both fighters do best. There's no point in me talking about the kickboxing fights again because I've already covered them in the previous video and they're in the past, so let's just leave it there. People mentioned that Alex Pereira is the better kickboxer in this fight, and although that might be true because he did beat Izzy, on a technical level, I don't believe he's better than Izzy. I believe Izzy possesses better qualities and attributes as a striker compared to Alex Pereira. I think Izzy is faster, he has an outstanding fight IQ, he has better timing, better footwork, better offense, and better defense. However, in my opinion, even though Izzy is better from a technical standpoint than Alex, it doesn't mean that Alex isn't technical as well. I mean, he's a two-weight Glory kickboxing champion for a reason. And if you guys don't know, I'm a big Glory fan myself, and when I first watched Alex Pereira, I was very impressive with his performances. I mean, the guy is big, strong, possesses crazy power, good fight IQ, good setups, good combinations, and he even has good defense as well. Both Izzy and Alex are kind of evenly matched, and they have similar strengths as a kickboxer. But I think Izzy does it better than Alex because of his style, which is more suited in an MMA setting. Izzy has a style where he's more evasive, where he picks you apart, he varies his attacks, and he likes to use footwork to move and evade strikes. Essentially, the mindset is hit and not get hit. Alex Pereira has more of that traditional Dutch kickboxing style where he's standing tall, he's throwing powerful strikes, and he's more of a stationary target. Alex, he has a lot of powerful strikes in his arsenal where he can throw a strong left hook. We've seen it in action so many times. He has good knees, and especially he has a really good switching knee as well. And not only that, the dude can time shots, he can feint, he can pretty much do it all as a kickboxer. In a kickboxing fight, that Dutch style would work in a ring. However, in the octagon where there's more space to work and move, it strongly favors Izzy. And that's why for my official prediction, I'm going to take Izzy by KO in the 4th round. It's a risky choice, but I'll explain why I believe that is. Izzy has been competing in MMA and in the UFC longer than Alex has. He's been a champion for years now, and he understands MMA better than Alex. I think that in an MMA fight where the gloves are smaller and the octagon is much bigger than the ring, this is where Izzy will thrive. I think Alex will instantly realize that he's not dealing with just a New Zealand kickboxer, but instead this time, he's dealing with the undisputed middleweight champion of the world. He'll realize that these MMA gloves are different and that he'll have a harder time cutting off the cage and getting a hold of Izzy. I believe Alex will go out there and put it on Izzy and do whatever it takes to win. He'll pressure Izzy, he'll throw big powerful strikes, he'll time Izzy when Izzy makes mistakes, he'll throw strong leg kicks, strong knees, and he'll go out there and try to take Izzy's head off. And there will be moments where he'll catch Izzy and he'll get him going backwards. However, when this fight gets deep and Alex hasn't had any experience being there, that's where Izzy will start to increase the activity, the pace, and the pressure. Izzy has exceptional cardio in the cage, and when Alex is starting to slow down, that's where Izzy will capitalize. I think the fatigue will start to affect Alex and he'll overthrow and he'll miss with his strikes, and that's when Izzy will counter him, just like he countered Whitaker in the first fight. It's a risky choice considering how Izzy has been performing in his last few fights, but Izzy, he is an exceptional counterpuncher, and I truly believe that Izzy is one of those fighters that will rise to the occasion when the stakes are at its highest. No one is as confident as Izzy in this game, and you're not considered the best striker in the world and having comparisons to Anderson Silva of potentially being the middleweight GOAT for no reason. And I think he'll go out there and show the world why he's great for a reason. And for all the Izzy haters that think otherwise, we're about to find out, so let's see. And that is it, guys. Thank you guys so much for listening to what I have to say, and let me know, who do you have winning this fight, Izzy or Alex Pereira? Who is next for Izzy if he does indeed beat Alex Pereira? Drop a comment and let me know in the comment section down below. Now, if you guys enjoy content that is related to combat sports, please drop a like on this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel down below. That would be greatly appreciated. And other than that, it's been Steven signing out. Peace.